This week on Inside the Headset, we are featuring Stanford's wide receiver coach, Bobby Kennedy. In this episode, Coach Kennedy shares the impact that coaching mentors have played in his life, highlights the importance of setting players up for success after their football careers, and speaks on the benefits of being involved with the AFCA. Now, let's get Inside the Headset with Coach Kennedy.
Coach Kennedy, how you doing, Coach?
I'm great. Thanks for having me. It's always good to be on with the AFCA. You know, it's an organization I've been a part of for close to 30 years, and so it's exciting to be on with you today.
Likewise. I've prior to coming to the AFCA, I've spent a lot of time coaching myself, and was a receiver coach as well, and just kind of growing up in it. You were definitely one of those names that I looked up to and always respected the product you put on the field at the receiver position. So it's definitely my pleasure as well. And with that being said, you know, you've had the opportunity to coach 25 years at the Division I level, specifically at receiver. What has that journey been like, just in general? What has it been like to have that amount of success, to be able to have job after job at that level?
Yeah, you know, it's been a great thing. I initially started off. I played quarterback in college, in Northern Colorado. Was not a great player, but obviously I had interaction with the receivers playing that position, and it's been a fun journey. You know, it's been something I can truly say that I've enjoyed doing. I've got a real passion for the position. I've even though I started off at Illinois in 1990 as a graduate assistant for the offensive line, and then I moved to coaching tight ends as a GA at both Illinois and Penn State. I got my first full-time job at the University of Wyoming as a receiver coach, and it was a great experience because I worked with some really great people and under a great head coach in Joe Tiller. And I was fortunate, even though I was a young coach, to coach, you know, a number of really good players at Wyoming that helped me develop as a coach, but also, you know, like I said, rub shoulders with great players like two-time All-American Ryan Yarbrough and then Marcus Harris, who was a two-time All-American also, and also went on to win the Blitnikoff Award at Wyoming. And so I kind of got, you know, thrown into the fire as a young guy at 25 years old, coaching wide receivers. And from there, I've just, you know, I've always thought of myself as a receiver coach. I never really wanted to coach quarterbacks or not necessarily be a coordinator. I just have a passion for the wide receiver position, and I've been fortunate to be around really good players, but then also coaching different programs and different systems, and really learn the wide receiver position.
That's super interesting. I have two questions for you here. First and foremost, you said you played quarterback in Northern Colorado, and then you quickly followed it up with that you weren't very good. Now, you know, typically that, you know, you see a high performing player that plays at the next level. The opportunities are a little bit more abundant, you know, especially for an FBS GA position. I'm curious how you were able to land a Illinois GA position, kind of start off, especially at the offensive line.
Yeah, so it was. I've been really fortunate to have great mentors in my career. And when I was when I was coming out of high school, I was recruited by two guys that really, kind of took me under their wing and did a great job recruiting me at the University of Colorado, even though I didn't go there. But those connections that I made during my recruiting process led to the position at Illinois. And so those two guys were Lou Tepper, who at one time was a defensive coordinator who recruited Colorado for the Buffs. And then I got to know Jim Caldwell, who was the receiver coach and quarterback coach at Colorado. And those were two guys that had a huge impact on my career. And, you know, the path, I always knew, like deep down in my heart, because I was really fortunate growing up in Boulder, and I had a chance to be around Chuck Fairbanks' kid, Toby Fairbanks. And then when he left to go to the New Jersey Generals, Bill McCartney came in, and Tom and Mike McCartney were I played with on the high school team, and so we became fast friends. And so I was always hanging around CU, and I thought it was really cool, what their dad did, and being around coaches. So then, after my high school career, I was playing quarterback in Northern Colorado, and I started working high school football camps, Mile High football camp that was run by Sam Pagano, and a number of big time college coaches came in to work that camp. So it was almost like a on-field internship. And then I'd work the University of Colorado football camp every year, like I said, when I was playing at Northern Colorado. So I kept those connections alive, and I actually thought I was going to be a graduate assistant at the University of Colorado. And when that didn't work out, I reached out to Lou Tepper, and he was instrumental in helping me land that spot at Illinois.
That's awesome, man. I'll say in this role that I'm in now here at the AFCA, I have the opportunity to talk to a ton of coaches, especially some of the young guys, and they hit me up and they're like, what do I have to do? They're 25, 26, 27, trying to expand that network. And it seems you had already got it at that point in time, that you kind of understood the networking piece and saving numbers and getting out, showing your face at camp. So it's just that's actually really interesting that you had caught on that early. Was your folks, anybody in the family already coaches or anything like that to pass that knowledge on to you?
My dad was actually a former high school football coach at Fraser High School in Detroit, Michigan. But then as his path developed, he became a university professor at CU. And but there was always that football background. And then also what was kind of unique for me, a guy that coached him after he came out of the Marine Corps, a guy named Hank Johnson, was a scout for the Denver Broncos. So I'd go up to Bronco training camp, and I'd spend time around the Denver Broncos and shagging balls, and I kind of latched on to Mike Shanahan when he was a young receiver coach for the Broncos. And so like I said, I kind of knew I wanted to stay involved in football, and I always thought the coaching aspect of it was really, I just thought what they did was really cool. And like I mentioned before, meeting those people at a young age, and they had such a tremendous impact, in my life. When I got done at Illinois, it was funny. Lou Tepper became the head coach at Illinois after John Malkovich left to go to the University of Texas. And he talked to me about hiring me as the tight end coach. And I was going to be, 23 years old, and he was going to hire me as a tight end coach. And it came down between me and another guy, Sherman Smith, who went on to great success in the NFL. But out of that opportunity, by Lou not hiring me, it was probably the best thing that ever happened, to me, because I really wasn't ready, and I wanted it, but I really wasn't ready. And so when I didn't get that position, Lou recommended me to Jim Caldwell, who also had recruited me at Colorado, who was the quarterbacks and wide receiver coach at Penn State. And they were looking for a young guy who could coach the tight ends as a graduate assistant. And so I was really fortunate to go to Penn State, work with Jim Caldwell, obviously be under a great mentor in Joe Paterno. And so my journey just kind of took off, that way. But the thing that I'll also say is, like, for example, I was really young, and developing those relationships, like I said, with guys at Wyoming like Marcus Harris, and then at Penn State, Troy Drayton and Kyle Brady, who I was really fortunate to coach. They helped me along the way. And I think sometimes as a coach, you think, sometimes you think it's all about you and what you can teach them.
Yeah.
But you can learn a great amount from players too. And I'm forever grateful to guys like Ryan Yarbrough and Marcus Harris, Troy Drayton, and Kyle Brady.
That's phenomenal, Coach. Now, like I said, you figured this thing out relatively early. it's kind of propelled you to this career of being a long-lasting receiver coach. Now I'm curious of how you've stayed polished, in a game that, in the 90s, obviously the play style has changed quite a bit since then. And football's still football, so I do get that aspect of it. But how have you stayed sharp personally and continued to grow and develop in a position that you weren't, native to?
Sure. I'll tell you this. Over the years, I've done a lot of clinics, and that's number one, helped me to kind of, sharpen that knife, but also just being around quality people. There's so many people, throughout the years that I've learned from them. I talked about Joe Tiller, and then I left there to go to Wake Forest, and Jim Caldwell, and a guy named Jamie Barisi, who was the quarterback coach there. And then, leaving there and working for a guy like John Malkovich, who had been the head coach at Kansas City Chiefs and offensive coordinator at Dallas Cowboys, and went on to, become head coach at the University of Texas and Arizona. It's really been for me about not only doing those clinics and being around good football people that are really sharp, but also just, taking time to meet with different coaches and spend time talking ball. I feel really fortunate in that aspect that I've been around quality people, and that people that have pushed me, people that have also helped me grow. And so I'll say this too, my time at the University of Texas, the Texas high school coaches, you go in to recruit their schools. And I still remember one of my first meetings with Randy Allen, the head coach at Highland Park High. He asked me to, I was recruiting a school. He talked to me. He said, "Hey, talk to me about the zone read." And man, when they put you on the spot, it's challenging, but then also, it just helps you sharpen your knife. And so the Texas high school coaches, and going in and meeting with so many of those guys over the years, it's helped me to stay sharp. And so, but like I said, this business, and sometimes people, as a younger coach, you think it's all about you. And the kind of the philosophy that I've taken over the years is yeah, you can build your career, but also what is it that you're going to give back, to a young coach and help them learn, or a high school coach. And so just, finding those tools that work for you and being able to stay sharp, but also being around quality people. I'm around a guy right now, David Shaw, and the offensive coordinator here at Stanford, Tavita Pritchard. And on a daily basis, I sit back and I learn something new from them all the time, because they're two of the sharpest guys I've ever been around. And so just being fortunate, being around good people.
Amen. Well, let's talk a little bit more about Stanford. One of the hashtags that you see if you keep up with you guys on social media is the hashtag "the family you choose," and it's something, like I said, that you see a ton around Stanford football. Tell us a little bit about what that means and how you use it in recruiting and your with your players.
Yeah, I do use it both in recruiting, but also with my players. In fact, last weekend we had 12 of our current NFL players from Stanford back for a weekend, and it was so funny. I was talking to my group, and J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, who's playing currently wide receiver for the Philadelphia Eagles, he walked in the room and sat down and joined our meeting. And when I started talking about JJ, I said to the guys, I said, every tweet, every social media post you see me put out, okay, somewhere in there, it's about the family you choose, okay? And I'm passionate about that because, when we recruit these guys, right, not only are we choosing them, but they're choosing us, right? And a lot of times people talk about family, right? And to me, what is family? Family is a group of people that support you, that challenge you, that help you pick between right and wrong. And so when you talk about the family you choose, like, it's important for guys not only on your current team, but also guys that you're recruiting to understand that, hey, we chose each other.
Right.
And so what's the best way to make this thing work? And I'm really passionate about it because I did a little Instagram post about my father, who just turned 91 last week, 92. And I was a kid who my first year on this planet, I was in an orphanage, and my parents who adopted me, they already had 7 kids of their own, and here's my parents, and they chose me. They didn't have me. They chose me.
Right.
Okay. And then they gave me a family and showed me what a healthy family was all about, what ups and downs you go through, with your family. There's going to be, a lot of times people see all the uniform combinations and, in recruiting, putting people in thrones and, different stuff like that. It's really about what you're looking for and what you're deciding to choose, right? And in this game, there's going to be ups and downs. And if you have a strong family behind you that's supporting you, then I think you have a chance to make it through the other end.
Coach, that's amazing, especially your personal story and how you're able to translate that into what recruiting really is. You're going and and I don't want to say what it really is to shrink the importance of what you went through, adoption and things like that. But you are going out and seeking somebody that's going to be a part of your family, and oftentimes you start talking about the term culture. It gets thrown around a little too often at times. Family, it might be plastered on the wall, but you don't see programs actually live it. That's just really cool. That's just such a big emphasis based off your personal background. Now,
I appreciate that.
Yeah, no doubt, Coach. I want to kind of shift gears here a little bit, but still talking about relationships. Now, one of the things that really impressed me right now is you're talking about 1990 and you're spitting out these names like you just saw them today, which is super impressive, especially knowing all the guys that you coached and have been around over the years. And so, you had the opportunity to coach these phenomenal wide receivers over the course of the years. Went on to play at the next level. But for every one of those guys, there's probably about 10 that just didn't have the opportunity to go play at that next level. When you're in that receiver room, not only teaching them how to be great receivers, what are some of the things that you want to instill in the other 10, and these other guys, that are going to be long lasting life lessons. You kind of hit on it with the family thing, but what else you really try to instill in that receiver room?
Yeah, really the importance of number one, selling yourself and the network that you can develop when you come to a university like Stanford or the University of Texas or the University of Wyoming, right? When you talk about character, right? And I know you've heard this term before, character is what you have when nobody else is around looking, right? And so are you doing those things, right? The right things off the field? Are you doing the things that are going to challenge you academically? Because, Dwayne Aquina, our great DB coach here, who's had a number of, Thorpe Award winners, he always talks to guys about, hey, one day football is either going to walk away from you or you're going to walk away from football. Okay. So when that happens, because it happens to all of us, okay, like what do you have to fall back on? Is it your network? Is your network the people just in the locker room, or are you doing your part to think outside the box and meet people, that can help you not only with your football goals, because all football players, at the time, football is the most important thing. Football is the most important thing. But like I said, sooner or later, that time's going to end. And so what are those relationships that you develop? Okay. What type of character do you have? And how can you sell yourself as a person that's valuable to the organization? And so, those are things that we talk about. And I've been really fortunate to, like I said, have coached a lot of great guys and guys that have gone on to the NFL. But the other thing, I think, like what my players some of my former players, and it's hard to stay in touch with everybody, right?
Of course.
But I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, I'm on Twitter, with a bunch of former players, and are you still staying involved in their life? Do you? When today it was so funny, I was coming into work and I got here and I was sitting down and I was checking my Instagram, and the first thing I saw this morning was John Harris, who I recruited from Naaman Forest High School in Garland, Texas. Well, it's his and his wife's fifth anniversary, right? And I do try to stay involved and reach out to those guys, because remember, if we talk about the family you choose and about this being about your relationships being lifelong, okay, obviously you're not going to talk to every guy every week or something like that, but how do you stay connected to those guys, and how do you check on them? And I've found social media to be a way that you can do that. But I try to stay as involved with as many players as I can, and then also, like you'd mentioned, is your message consistent? Is your message consistent in terms of, like we talked about, the character, building the network, all those things? If they hear it from you on a continual basis, then maybe it does sink in,
right,
and they say, rather than not doing this, I can do this. And it's just trying to give them tools to, continue their development.
Absolutely. Well, I think you hit the nail on the head. Just, the very easy way to just connect with those former players on social media. It's very unintrusive and doesn't take much time just to, hit the like button on watching your players get married or have their first kid and all that good stuff. And it's always a good feeling when they hit you back and shoot you a nice message and things like that. So I can definitely appreciate that. Now I kind of shift to the last thing here before I let you go. You've been very involved with the AFCA over a long period of time. You're currently the chair of the AFCA FBS Assistant Coaches Committee, and like I said, if you go to the AFCA convention, you're going to see you there. Relatively busy. How has this role been beneficial to you, and why was it important for you to stay involved and give back to this great profession?
Yeah, so guys ask me about the AFCA all the time, and obviously through Coach Taft and now Todd Berry, I think the leadership has been tremendous. But I still remember, once again, when I was a young coach, I said, you know what, I'm going to get involved in this organization. And I remember I started off on the luncheon committee with one of the all-time greats, Leo Fanning, okay? And I saw the way he worked it and the pride that he took, but also like just being involved on different committees and meeting people. You talk about networking. It's a great way to network.
Yep.
I remember when I was on the luncheon committee, I met more head coaches because they come into the little holding room, then you escort them in. I met more award recipients, guys that had achieved at a high level in the profession, but also other assistants that served on those committees. So when you talk about like getting involved, first of all, I think it's a great organization to give back to, because I've seen what the AFCA has done for so many people, not only coaches, but players and wives and families. And so it's had a special place in my heart. But also, being involved on the assistant coaches committee and being on the board of trustees, what I've always said, we put so much into this profession. And a lot of times we're away from our family recruiting, or, we're at the office, game planning and doing all those things. I kind of said to myself, the reason why I want to have this role in the AFCA is because I'm really concerned about quality of life for assistant coaches, right? And being able to spend time, with their families. And so, some of the things that we've come up with, during my time, the current penalty structure for, people that aren't doing the right thing in our profession. And we got the head coaches involved in that. And I think that's been really positive. But also the early signing period. where we moved it up to December, and it kind of lessened the load in terms of not necessarily being on the road, but that constant grind of waiting until that first Wednesday in February, and so my focus has been on improving the quality of life of assistant coaches, and kind of hoping to create some common sense structure and rules for assistants. And like I said, it's been one of the great experiences of my life, because not only be able to network, but once again be around quality people. I can't tell you how many committees Coach Shaw serves on. Okay.
Yeah.
But I know it's a bunch, and he is truly interested in giving back to the profession. And I think sometimes, especially in this age of there's so much money being thrown around, and this what this profession has ultimately been about. It's a people profession. It's how can you help other people achieve their dreams, okay? But also, what can you give back? So that's been my focus, and like I said, also the Outstanding Achievement Award. I mean, what a great award for past assistants, and we've recognized some great guys that might have gone not unnoticed to the people that they served with,
right,
on their staff, but also the entire organization. So that's been fun being a part of that also.
Well, Coach, I definitely want to say we appreciate your efforts and everything that you do here to make the AFCA what it is today, and you do play a huge part in that. And thank you for your time today. Before you hop off, I'd love for you to share your Twitter account, so any coaches that are listening to this, they can follow your journey and keep up with what you got going on.
Great. So it's at capital B, capital K, and then lowercase WR Stanford. And so yeah, anybody that wants to follow me or hit me up, I'm always available.
Appreciate that, Coach. We'll make sure to link that in the show notes so it's easy for everybody to find and click on. And best of luck this spring, and wishing you a great year.
Thanks, appreciate it, and I appreciate what you all do with the AFCA, and also just giving me this platform to be able to talk. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
No doubt, Coach. Thanks. Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Inside the Headset. If you heard anything on this episode that you would like to learn more information about, head over to afcapodcast.com, where you can find every episode and all of the corresponding show notes. While you're there, take a second to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions for the show, please let us know by sending an email to podcast@afca.com. Make sure to follow the podcast on Twitter at Inside the Headset and tag it when you share each episode. You can stay up to date with all things AFCA by following the @WeAreAFCA Twitter account. Every episode of Inside the Headset can also be found on your favorite audio streaming platforms such as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. If you are not currently a member of the AFCA, be sure to find us online at afca.com and apply to join over 10,000 NFL, college, and high school coaches from around the country who are striving to be the best they can be. With an AFCA membership, you gain invaluable access to the annual AFCA convention, the bi-monthly magazine, and the new and improved digital library, which contains thousands of videos and articles contributed by hundreds of current and former football coaches. You can also visit afcainsider.com to sign up for our free weekly email newsletter on the right-hand side of the screen. It comes out every Tuesday at lunch and is filled with great articles and stories written by many of the same coaches you hear on the podcast. It's geared to help you become a better coach tomorrow than you are today. Be sure to connect with me on Twitter at Coach Mario Price, and remember, the AFCA is not just an annual convention. It is an association that continually promotes education, guidance, and networking. But it is also so much more than that. The AFCA is about celebrating the past and educating the future. It is about developing great coaches who will produce great teams and even better people. So invest in your skill set and impact today by engaging with the AFCA.